Hello, it's Norman with iSaveTractors.com. In this video, we are going to be servicing the transmission in this Ford 120 garden tractor. Okay, first order of business, I need to empty out all of the hydraulic fluid out of the hydrostatic transmission. In order to do this, there's a little hex plug on the bottom of the transmission right here. You just unscrew that, and then all of the hydraulic fluid from the reservoir will drain out. Now, something to keep in mind with these Ford 120 garden tractors is the hydrostatic transmission and the rear differential are two separate entities on this tractor. So the rear differential takes its own gear oil, and the hydrostatic transmission takes its own hydraulic transmission fluid. Once the hydrostatic transmission fluid is all drained out, the reservoir, which is this piece you're looking at here, will be empty. We have to now remove the cover plate, and we just do that by zipping out all those bolts, and inside there'll be a little canister filter. There's that canister filter I was talking about. There's a little spring that helps hold it in place. Now, these filters are no longer available, and I had a very hard time finding a replacement. So instead of replacing it, I'm going to put it in an ultrasonic cleaner and clean it out as best as I can, and then reuse it. Now I get back to cleaning out the rest of the reservoir. I just use a bunch of shop towels and I clean up all of the old residue of oil, clean everything out, clean all the gasket surfaces, and just make it spotless again. Now I'm going to drain the gear oil out of the rear differential. The drain plug is located directly on the bottom. You just undo that and the gear oil will come right out. This plug towards the rear of the differential is actually the fill plug. And when we go to refill the oil, we want to fill it up until it pours out of this hole. I'm filling this differential case up with just straight 90 weight gear oil. It doesn't take much. I don't remember exactly how much I used, but what I did was, since the fill hole is kind of offset a little bit, I used this long transmission oil funnel to funnel in the gear oil. Now you just want to fill it up until oil starts coming back out of that hole. Before I reassemble the hydrostatic transmission reservoir, I want to make sure I clean all the gasket material off of the cover. This is all the old gasket material that's probably been sitting here for almost 60 years. So it's important to scrape all that off. I use a combination of this chemical gasket remover. It's a solvent that helps break down all of the adhesive and kind of any of the stuff that makes a gasket kind of stick to its side. So it helps them break it all down. Then I use a combination of a pocket knife, a putty scraper, and just plain old elbow grease to remove it all. And after all that effort, we're left with a nice clean reservoir cover here. All the gasket material's gone. Everything's been grinded smooth. It's ready to paint and reapply. After painting the reservoir cover, I prepare to reinstall the cover by applying a Permatex black gasket maker / sealant all over the surface of the reservoir. It's important when you apply this on that you cover around all of the bolt holes, and you want to make sure that you leave a nice film around the entire thing. That way when you compress it all, it leaves a nice full seal. I prefer using gasket material, gasket maker for things like this because actual gaskets are unavailable, and this gasket maker kind of RTV sealant works really, really well for all of these kind of large, unusual shaped surfaces. After you've applied the RTV gasket maker material, then it's time to reinstall the cover. When you reinstall the cover, first you want to put the oil filter in, as well as that little spring that helps hold it into place. And then the next part is a little bit of a juggling move. You kind of want to hold the spring in place with the cover as you set it on and align all the holes. Once you put in a couple of the screws in by hand in the corners, then everything's aligned. Then you can let go and just kind of go with it and zip everything in. Here I'm using a very light-powered impact wrench to tighten everything in. I don't tighten it to any kind of torque spec per se, but I get it all tight enough. And as you tighten it, you'll see all the RTV kind of sealant kind of squeeze out of the edges a little bit. You want to wipe off any excess squeeze out, and then you want to let this RTV sealant sit for 24 hours before you add oil into it. After 24 hours, it's then safe to add your hydraulic transmission fluid to the hydrostatic transmission of this tractor. I'm here using a Type F automatic transmission fluid. It works great. You just want to add oil until it starts coming out of that fill hole. And then after that, you are finished. This hydrostatic transmission is now considered service. For high-quality aftermarket parts for your vintage small engines like the Kohler K301 that's on this Ford 120 garden tractor, look no further than iSaveTractors.com. We sell high-quality aftermarket parts for your old small engines like your Kohler K series, Magnum KT Twin series, as well as your Tecumseh HH, OH engines, Briggs & Stratton cast iron, Onan, and Wisconsin engines. My name is Norman. Thanks for watching.